Hi, this is Robert Selders from 3Q Fitness CrossFit Garland, and I'm excited about sharing with you today information about the health-wealth connection and giving you tools and resources to help you along your journey. Specifically, we're going to talk about 5 things that will allow you to take action today or tomorrow to start you along your way. One of the things that I really want you to get from this is that it's about the long game. It's not about something that you can do just for the next 4 to 8 weeks. This is something that you want to have some longevity with and some sustainability with. So we're going to talk a little bit about starting early. We're going to talk about, setting goals. We're going to talk about how do you handle situations that come up in your life that may kind of take you off track. Life happens, and so we're going to give you the tools and resources that you need in order to stay committed, stay motivated, so that you can reach your fitness goals. About 3 years ago, a woman wheeled her husband into my gym. He couldn't walk, and she told me that he was in the wheelchair as a result of medication that he had been taking. Depakote, Geodon, for some depression symptoms. And as a result of the medication that he was taking, he had acquired medication-induced Parkinson's. So if you can imagine this woman who has her husband, who cannot walk, he cannot work, she's having to take care of him, she's having to work to support their whole family. The financial impact of that. And the doctor's telling him that it wasn't the medication, and that if he got off the medication, that he would be able to walk again. He gets off the medication, and he's not able to walk again. 3 months pass. 6 months pass, and he's still not able to walk. So she brings him into my gym, and she asks me if I can help him. I said, I don't know. Let's talk. So the more I got to talking with her and finding out more about the situation and what he had gone through, I'd learned that she had taken him to all of these different specialists, some of the best specialists in Dallas, neurologist, rehab specialists, and they also told her that you should put him in a home because what he has cannot be reversed. Now imagine it if she listened to him, listened to them, where her life would be today. Today, her husband is not only walking, but he's driving, and he's doing things that doctors said that he would not be able to do. My name is Robert Selders. I'm the owner of 3Q Fitness, CrossFit Garland. One of the things that we talked about yesterday, for those of you who weren't there, is the power of community. I believe in the power of community. I believe in the power of voice, the power of presence. So thank you all for being here today. But one of the things that I always start my presentations with is one word. I just want to know how you're feeling. So if we can, we'll go around the room and I'll have you say your name and just tell me how you're feeling. Okay? I'm going to start here.
I'm Audrey Horn, and I am feeling okay today.
All right, okay. You cannot repeat what somebody else says. You can't say good. All right, give me some descriptive words about how you're feeling.
My name is Anastasia Robinson, and I'm feeling blessed today.
Good word.
Monique, and I'm amazing.
Nice.
Mary Davis, and I'm excited.
Okay.
Raymond Davis, and I'm super. Clifton Johnson, and I am hopeful.
Shanique O'Neill, and I'm receptive.
Okay.
My name is Eli Wallace, and I feel motivated.
Yes, ma'am.
What am I supposed to do?
Just tell me, say your name, and then tell me how you're feeling. Feel fine.
I'm Paulette Mahone, and I am thirsting for my knowledge.
Got it, got it. One of the things that I always like to do is get the room in terms of the headspace, right? Because if you can address where people are thinking and the perspective that they have, I think we can actually start to make some shifts. So the first thing I want you to know is lifestyle adjustments are hard. Anybody ever try to make a lifestyle adjustment and found it to be easy? How long did it take you to start? First, how long did it take you to start? And then how long did it take you to keep it going? Give me some numbers.
A year and a half.
A year and a half? Still working on it?
Yeah, months and ongoing progress.
Months and ongoing project. The beauty of today is that because we have this size group, there's interaction. And in fact, I encourage interaction and engagement because I want to answer your questions. I want to make sure that I'm giving you information that's going to be useful for you. The second thing is that goals. Anybody ever set goals and they never happen? Yes. Have you ever set goals and didn't write them down? Yes. You had it in your head. You're like, oh, okay, I want to do this.
Write them down.
You write them down. That's good. Because goals are just an idea if you don't have a plan. So it's really important for you to have a plan when you set a goal. And the third thing, as Cliff mentioned, we only have limited time and resources. So it's not about wasting anybody's time. Have you ever worked with somebody or known somebody that has asked you to do something and they wasted your time?
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
Frustrated.
Frustrated? Yes? Manipulated? Anybody else? Nobody else? Disrespected? Absolutely. Well, I'm not going to disrespect your time. My goal is to give you information that you can use not only today, but you can actually use tomorrow. Start immediately. There's a quote that I like by John Maxwell. It says, "You will never change your life until you change something that you do daily. The secret to your success is found in your daily routine or your habits." Okay? So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go right into the health-wealth connection, and then I'm going to introduce you to a personal health model that I've worked with some groups with, helping them to sort of take inventory and assess where they are from a health standpoint. And I'm going to allow you, give you the opportunity to take that inventory for yourself so that we can kind of get some idea of where you are, and you can have that information to take back to start working on some things to help you. We're going to also open it up for questions and answers at the end, and allow you just to kind of be able to share any concerns or questions that you have as we go along here. So the first element of the health-wealth connection, as I'm looking at it in this particular context, is you have to start early, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is that you have to keep it real. The third thing is you have to be coachable. The fourth thing is that you have to diversify. And then the fifth thing is that you have to be able to make adjustments. So I'll repeat those. Start early, keep it real, be coachable, diversify, and then make adjustments. So as we're going through this, I know we don't have the access to the slides, but I'm going to try to describe it to you as much as possible. But I want you to think in terms of how you can apply each of these concepts to your fitness and your finances and see results as we're going along, okay? All right, the first one, starting early. You have to be able to take stock of where you are today. When I'm working with new clients, I always tell them, in order for me to know how to get you where you want to go, I have to be able to assess where you are. Because if you're not assessing, you're only guessing. How can you determine where you want to go if you don't know where you are? So it's really, really important for that to be the case. The second part is that you have to look at fitness from the standpoint of skill development. Anybody in here like math? Math? All right? So in order for you to learn math, you didn't just walk up and just know math automatically. There was a process for you to develop the skill of being able to do math. Much like physical fitness, there's a skill associated with being fit. There are things that people do that are fit that people who are not fit don't do, right? Have you seen some of the habits that maybe some people that you know and kind of come to mind? It's like, they always doing this. They make me sick because they doing that. Has that ever happened to y'all? You know people? What are some of the things that they do that you look at and you're like, that's just way too much. I'm not even interested in that. They skip dessert. Okay. You smile.
So just the consistency.
Consistency? What about you?
They take the stairs.
They take the stairs. Yes. Anybody else? Nothing else? So what I'm hopefully to impart to you guys today is that the skill of being fit is something that we can all acquire. It's not something that is a unicorn, not something for special people. Everybody can do it. You just have to have the desire and the diligence to do that. The other thing about, with our company, we focus on three major pillars: lifestyle, fitness, and performance. And we always talk in terms of lifestyle habits. Because if your lifestyle habits are jacked up, it's going to be very difficult for you to make any kind of progress. And so when we think about lifestyle things, I always ask people, I actually put this out on my Facebook page recently, what's the major challenge that you have to living and keeping a fit life? What do you think some of the answers were? Schedule, yes. Don't feel like doing it, yes. Anybody else? A sweet tooth? Somebody said that. Anybody else over here? Peer pressure. Peer pressure? Anybody else? Work schedule? Yep. All of those. How many of you guys brush your teeth every day? Okay. Does your schedule prevent you from brushing your teeth?
Brush it twice a day.
Does motivation prevent you from brushing your teeth? Does being tired prevent you from brushing your teeth?
Depends.
But you say you do it twice a day, so you get it in.
After work.
So when we talk about lifestyle and we talk about ingrained identity, it becomes who you are. You just do it as a result of who you are. And it's not something that you have to think about. So when you get to the point where the lifestyle habits are that ingrained, that's just what you do. And so when you have a bad day at work, or somebody gets on your nerve, or you have a disagreement with your spouse or significant other, your kids have all these activities, your schedule gets hectic, it doesn't change what you do. And so when we talk about consistency and we talk about results, those are the things that are important when you're talking about starting early. Because it doesn't really matter when you start, as long as you do start, okay? Habits versus intentions. A lot of times people intend to do a lot of things. Like, I intend to start working out on Monday. I intend to get in better shape. I intend to get in better health. But intentions don't mean anything if you don't put the habits and the action to it to make it so. So it's habits versus intentions. Habits trump intentions every single day. It's what you do that makes a difference. It's not what you think or you intend to do that makes a difference. And when we look at fitness, we have to look at it from an investment standpoint. So when we talk about starting early, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this chart. I remember I learned about it probably when I got out of college and started working. There's a chart that somebody showed me about the power of compounded interest. That if you start to invest like $1,000 or $2,000 every year for 10 years and you stopped after 10 years, then you wouldn't have to add any more money, but it would grow to about $1 million or more by the time you turn 64. That's the power of compound interest. It's the same when we talk about fitness and physical health, okay? So if you start early, or the earlier you start, the more ingrained those habits become into your lifestyle, and you're going to be able to keep them longer, and they're going to be able to produce at a higher level for you. So it goes back to, again, we're looking at it from the standpoint of this being a marathon. It's not a sprint. A lot of times people do extreme things that they can't sustain, hoping to get a result, only to get to that result or some element of that result and then revert back to the old habits. Has that ever happened to anybody in here? Where you tried something for like 4 weeks, and then you're like, oh, that's too hard, I'm not doing it. Or something happens and you stop, right? So it does, like I said earlier, it doesn't matter when you start, it matters that you start. And like I told you about that gentleman earlier, he was 70 years old and he got his life back. All right, keeping it real. I'm sure if you guys have been affiliated or around the Empower series for any length of time, Clifton has talked to you guys about SMART goals. How many of you guys have heard of SMART goals? Raise your hand. SMART goals? Okay, SMART is an acronym. The S stands for being specific. So your goals have to have certain characteristics in order for them to have bite or meaning or impact, okay? Specific. They have to be clear and well defined. The second one is that they have to be measurable, quantifiable. It's not any wiggle room. Like, you either have to say yes or no as to whether or not that goal was achieved. The third is that it has to be achievable, but it has to push you outside of your comfort zone. A lot of times we plan things that we know that we can do. Where's the growth in that? You want to make sure that you're having some stretch goals that kind of get you out of your comfort zone that will allow you to stretch, but they're super attainable, okay? The next one is realistic. It has to be relevant and personal to you, and it considers your current situation. So with finances, a lot of times you hear people talking about keeping up with the Joneses, and they're trying to do things, buy cars and buy houses, buy clothes, buy things to impress people that don't even like them or that they don't even like, right? So if you're spending your time and your finances doing things to impress other people, how does that help benefit you? And when you're setting goals as it relates to fitness or finances that aren't relevant to your current situation and where you want to be, then it also doesn't make any sense. So when we talk about goals and SMART goals, we want to set goals that are realistic for where we are to help us get to where we want to be. And then the last one is time bound. You have to have a deadline. So one of the things when I'm working with people, and I've actually not worked with certain people because they didn't have this. You have to have a clear and deeply personal reason why you want to make that change. Does that make sense? Yeah. Time bound. Time bound. A very strong and very clear and deeply personal reason why you want to make that change. So, I'll give you an example. Somebody will come in and say, I want to get in shape. What does that mean? Have you heard that before? Have you said that before? I want to get in shape. What does that really mean? And then why do you want to get in shape? Somebody said feel tired.
Prevention of certain diseases.
Prevention? Well, why?
Well, because I don't want diabetes, I don't want high blood pressure.
Why not?
Because of how they rob you of your health.
How so?
Diabetes, people lose limbs, lose their vision. You know, it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
If you have it, it's expensive
Mm-hmm.
to treat, so you want to prevent that for so many reasons.
Absolutely. So you want to be able to live life independent of all those things and for as long as you want to. So that would be a good reason. But to say I want to get in shape without putting the pen to paper and saying why and actually having a vision of what you want as opposed to what you don't want. Many people look at what they don't want, but it's much more empowering to say what I do want, right? You need me? No. All right. What I do want. And so I always want to make sure that you have a strong reason why, because that's going to move the needle. That's going to get you up if your schedule is tough and you can't get out of bed early in the morning and you know that you got to be at the gym or you know you have to be working out at 5 o'clock and it's 4:45 and you're hitting your alarm and you're trying to say snooze. You have that reason. I don't want to be walking around here limbless. On medication. With diabetes. I'm going to get my behind up and I'm going today, right? So that keeps you motivated. So I have some examples here just to kind of drive home the point about keeping it real and setting SMART goals, okay? Got a little quiz here. So I have this goal, and I want you to tell me, and we all have to answer. I want you all to participate. If this is a SMART goal that we just described, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Here it is. I want to tone up and get in better shape. How many of y'all would say that's a SMART goal? I want to tone up and get in better shape. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you think it's a SMART goal. Raise it high. Don't be like, Get that hand up there. Okay. Raise your hand if you don't think it's a SMART goal. Okay. It is not a SMART goal. Tell me why it's not a SMART goal. No time bound?
Oh, I have to have all five.
All five.
Relative to tone up, relative to getting shape, so relative to.
What does tone up mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Is it measurable? How do you measure tone up? Yeah, exactly.
Based on some criteria.
But you didn't write down what it was. What is measurable? What is measurable about that goal? Nothing. Nothing. All right. Here's the next one. By my birthday, I want to lose 60 pounds. By my birthday, I want to lose 60 pounds.
Time specific.
It's achievable.
When's your birthday though?
It depends. It depends, right? Because you don't know when the birthday is.
Well, you do know.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know when your birthday is, but if you have 100 pounds that you need to lose, how do you know that that's achievable?
60 pounds on your birthday, even in 12 months, you end up on the,
It can be. Yeah, it depends.
Depends on when your birthday is, or 12 months from now. I just had one.
Okay?
But if it's 3 months from now,
You in trouble. Exactly. All right, so here's the next one. How many of y'all are really busy? You talked about your schedule. How many of y'all are busy people? Oh, you chilling. You're like, I ain't busy at all. All right, here's the next one. For 8 weeks, I'm going to train every day for 5 hours to lose 20 pounds of fat.
It's not realistic.
Is that smart? Is that a smart goal?
Well, it's not realistic, yeah.
oh,
Unless you're not working.
No. I missed the 5 hours.
The 5 hours, yeah. I don't know many people that can spend 5 hours working out.
Unless you're not working.
What's that? 3 for 3 days, but 5 for every day, 7 days a week? Very unrealistic. All right, next one. By January 1st, 2020, I will lose 5 inches from my waist and 15 pounds of fat. From today. Is that a smart goal? Raise your hand if it's a smart goal. Yes, it is a smart goal. All right, here's another one. For the next 4 months, I will work out 15 to 30 minutes a day, 15 to 30 minutes, 3 days a week. Is that a smart goal? For the next 4 months, I will work out 15 to 30 minutes, 3 days a week. It matches. It is realistic. It's something that you can do, absolutely. All right, here's the last one. I will pay off 25% of my credit card bills within the next 6 months. Is that a smart goal?
Yes.
Absolutely. It is a smart goal. So when you set SMART goals, it gives you almost the game plan to help you achieve it. Right? Because it has a time bound, it's very specific, it's very clear, it's attainable, so there's a level of motivation associated with that goal. Because you can see the end of the road, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes we set goals, you can't see no light at the end of the tunnel. And you start down that tunnel, you're like, you know what? I ain't doing that. You turn around, right? Or you just sit down. You don't do anything. And then something will happen again and get you wanting to do it again. And you're like, I don't see no light at the end of the tunnel. But when you set a SMART goal, you have that light. So you have that motivation that's built into the actual goal itself. So it makes it, making it attainable, or you attaining it, a lot more likely, okay? All right, next one is be coachable. All right, can you take advice and direction and follow instructions? How many people can do that? Okay, you saying no.
I'm not very coachable.
You're not very coachable, so you know that about yourself. That's good to know. That is very important to know. The second one, are you willing to be challenged or held accountable? Yes? Do you handle receiving constructive criticism well? Sometimes. Constructive criticism. All right, so now here's the challenge. Can you do it without whining? Can you do it without having a stank attitude? Rolling your eyes. Not telling the truth about what you're doing. Being non-compliant. This is all around coaching. So if you have a coach, or you're hiring a coach to help you with your physical fitness, or an advisor to help you with your financial fitness, and you're not coachable, what kind of results do you think are possible for you? It's going to be very challenging. But it's important. Some of the most amazing people that have done the most amazing things in life have a coach. You think, and I know you guys are probably familiar with this, Michael Jordan always talks about that he has a coach. He's probably one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but he had a coach a person who coached him on the things that you probably don't see him working on outside of the court, but he is able to demonstrate them on the court, or was able to demonstrate them on the court. Same thing is true for your fitness as well as your financial health. Is having a coach is a person that can help you either in person or a person can help you virtually. So there's a lot of different ways that you can have a coach. You don't have to necessarily have a person that coaches you in person. You can have virtual coaches. There's a lot of resources that are out there that can give you great information that would allow you to reach your goal without having that in-person coach, but it can actually give you the resources and the things that you need and the tools to help you reach where you want to be. So a coach can actually help you in a lot of different ways. We talked about being able to assess, and if you're not assessing, you're guessing. So they can actually assess your levels. So you might think one way about where you are, and a lot of us sometimes have this sort of interesting perspective of where we are. We don't really see ourselves where we actually are. We see ourselves where we think we want to be, or where we think we are. You can have a person that's objective, take where you are and really assess your situation to actually help you game plan it and provide you with not only a goal direction, but also help you implement the plan to help you really get from where you are to where you want to be. Whether it's a personal trainer, whether it's an online resource or online coach that helps you, or it's a financial advisor, somebody that you're working with to help you meet your fitness or financial goals. So also along the way, if you're open to being held accountable, like when you don't hold up your end of the bargain and the person calls you out on your stuff, do you have people in your life that are willing to call you out on your stuff? Yes? No? So you guys are 100% good with everything.
Oh, no, someone that does call me out.
Okay, good. All right, yes. I think that's important,
Oh, yeah, it is.
right? To surround yourself with people who aren't afraid to tell you when you're not doing and you're not meeting your potential, especially when you've asked them, right? Now, to have people around you that always tell you, oh, girl, you're doing great. And you know in your heart that's not right, right? Having those kind of people around you, I'm not saying that you don't have them around you, but I think in order for you to help make progress and continue to grow in your financial health as well as your physical health, you need to have people that are willing to hold your feet to the fire to make sure that you're doing the things that you're supposed to do to see your goals that you want to meet. But the final verdict of that is you want to be coachable. All right, the next one is diversifying. So, have you guys ever heard the definition of insanity? What is that? What have you heard about the definition of insanity? Exactly. So, doing the same thing and expecting a different result or outcome. All right? So when you talk about diversity, if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and it's not working, and you're still getting frustrated because you're not seeing any results, what needs to happen? Change it up. You need to change it up. So if you incorporate variety from the jump, you minimize the possibility of having that situation where you plateau. So you can use a variety of activities and tools to accomplish whatever fitness goal that you have. When I look at fitness, I look at it from sort of a holistic standpoint. We're talking about nutrition. We're talking about movement. We're talking about attitude. So from a nutrition standpoint, there's no shortage of diets out there. Anybody ever heard somebody tell them, man, this is the best diet? What'd you say?
I said keto.
Uh-huh. There's a lot of diets out there, right? So if I were to ask you the question, what's the best diet out there? What would you say? Okay, maybe. Because the one that you follow may not be good for you, right?
Well, good one that you will follow.
Huh?
One that gets you the results, one that you will follow.
Okay.
If you don't follow it, it doesn't.
Exactly. You can have the best diet on paper, but if you don't follow it, it doesn't do you any good. You can have a diet that's not even optimal, but if you followed it consistently, it might get you a result. So what I always tell people, a good starting point is if you follow an 80-20 rule, okay? 80-20, that's a good starting point. And it's a good starting point for a lot of different reasons. Most people think that they have to be perfect when they eat. Have you ever thought that? I got to eat perfectly to see a result. No? Really? Okay, talk to me about that. Unpack that for me.
Well, the reason being because it's just eating the right combination of food
Okay,
and portion control.
okay,
So no, I don't have to be perfect. And if I want to throw a cookie in there every now and then, I'm gonna have my cookie.
okay,
You know, so, but again, just knowing what your body needs, you know,
Okay.
in order to sustain and maintain a certain weight and not just overdo it where you just, you know, get everything out of proportion.
good. That's a really good answer. So perfection is not required. And in fact, I don't necessarily recommend it. Might be surprising, but I don't recommend perfection because it's not attainable. Nobody's perfect. Life happens. You're always going to have situations that pop up where you don't have what you need, so you got to make do, right? But if you follow 80-20 rule, 80% of the time eating healthy and supportive for your goal versus 20% not. People say, well, I don't know how to eat. I'm like, that's not true. Let's take another quiz. If I ask you, regarding your fitness and your health, would eating a bowl of broccoli versus eating a bowl of Doritos take you closer to your health goals? Which would you say? Broccoli. Most people would say broccoli. So it's not that you don't know how to eat, it's how do you get from knowing to actually doing? And doing it consistent enough so that you can see the results that you want to see. All right, so 80-20, okay? Movement rules. Now, y'all not dressed to move. I was going to show y'all some stuff today that we might be able to do some things. I'm going to think about that. But movement rules. When I think about movement, you have to think from the standpoint of motion is lotion. Have you ever seen somebody walking around that looked like it was really, really tough for them to move? I mean, it was like physically hard. And they might not have been that young. Been that old, right? They have these situations where if you are sitting, how many of you guys have sedentary jobs? Raise your hand.
What type of job?
Sedentary, where you're sitting a lot for the most part of the day while you're at work. Kind of, sort of? Not really? It depends on the day. Most people have sedentary jobs. Now, there are a lot of people that don't, but a lot of people do have sedentary jobs. And it doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't have a sedentary job that you can't be obese. That can happen. But what I tell people is movement rules. And so if you're willing to move 20 to 30 minutes a day, 3 to 5 days a week, but move intentionally. Not just get up, go check the mailbox, come back, sit down. Get up, go to the refrigerator, come back, sit down. I'm not talking about that kind of movement. Movement where you're intentionally exercising for the express purpose of impacting your physical fitness and your physical health. That can move the mountain. That can move the needle as it relates to your health. So, talked about nutrition, 80-20 rule, just to start. When you are able to do better, do better. Movement, motion is lotion. 20, 30 minutes a day, 3 to 5 days a week. And then explore and do something fun at least once a week. Something that gives you joy. A lot of times people will start an exercise program or even start down this path of having better financial health and they just drudge it. It's like, golly, I gotta do this, or I hate this, do something fun. That'll remind you of why you're doing it and gives you something to look forward to, something that gives you joy. Many people don't have joy in their life, and there's a reason why they live the life that they live. But if you can incorporate that as a daily or weekly practice and plan it into the things that you do, it'll help you stay motivated towards reaching your goals. And then the last thing is restoration and recovery. We don't sleep enough, y'all. We need to restore and recover from the activities that we've done through the course of the day. Because we're trying to pack so much into the day. It'll be there tomorrow. But most people, yes, sir.
So what's the alternative to that? I mean, you talk about we don't sleep enough today, but there's responsibilities, there's wife, there's kids. So
Absolutely.
what's it up? Because I would love to get more sleep.
So one of the things, you have to make some trade-offs. You have to figure out what your priority is, right? So you taking on 5 more projects or you taking on X more activities to do something else, there's a reason why you're doing that. So you have to assess what's more important. Is it my family that's important? Spending time with my family more important? or these other things that I'm out here trying to do? So it's a very individual call, and it's a very personal decision that you have to make. Again, laying it all out, being completely honest with where you are and what you're willing to do. Because another question that I ask people is, what are you not willing to do? What are you not willing to do? What are some of your non-negotiables in order for you to get fit? You raising your hand.
Well, my thing is, it's about peace.
About peace.
I'm not willing to give up my peace.
Okay, what does that mean?
I know that my rest is important.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, I'll ask, hey, is there anything else you guys need? Because once I hit the pillar, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just, that's non-negotiable. I'm going to bed.
Uh-huh.
That's true.
So but when you know that, you know what your boundaries are, right? And so nobody's going to infringe on that.
And he'll ask you, and say, is she sleeping? I'm out.
Yes.
That's it.
What are some other non-negotiables?
Yeah, I want to call you out, man. So you're busy.
I am busy.
So you got your own business. You do some other consulting.
Mm-hmm.
You are on the board of the Garden Independent School District. You got 3 girls. One is going to college. 2 younger ones.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife is busy. So do you get your sleep? And how do you balance, like Malcolm was saying? Because I know my goal is to get 7 hours of sleep.
Right.
But when it's ready to go to bed at 10, and you haven't done half the stuff you
Mm-hmm.
need to get done, how do you deal with that?
So it's really interesting. Ever since I've been in high school, and I've been out of high school for a long, long time.
How long?
I'm not ashamed. I just had my 49th birthday. So, comparatively maybe, but it's been 30 plus years. Ever since I've been in high school, I've only slept 4 to 5 hours a night. And that's all I've ever required. Now, throughout the day, I'll take naps. I can close my eyes for 5 minutes when I'm tired and wake up and I'm good to go.
That's right.
And that's just been how I roll. Now, I'm not saying that that's good for everybody. That's just what I know about me. So you have to know yourself. Like you said, when it's time for you to shut it down, you shut it down. Same thing. To answer your question, Clifton, that's usually how I get it in. I just know that if I sleep, and the other thing about that for me personally is if I sleep too long, I get tired. I wake up and I don't feel like I had any rest. I feel groggy, I feel sluggish, and I don't feel like I have any energy. So I found over time, just personally, 4 to 5 hours is sort of my sweet spot. And that's what I monitor for. So I don't know if you guys use Fitbit or Apple Watch or whatever. I monitor my sleep to see what it looks like. And I also monitor the quality of my sleep. Because as soon as my head hits the pillow, it takes me probably on average 3 minutes to go to sleep. Gone. And it's deep. So you just have to know yourself. So part of that assessment part, if you have questions about, what do you need, you have to look at that and assess that. You have to treat yourself as an experiment of one and be willing to try different things to figure out what makes the most sense and what's going to work for you. A part of that sleep, you have to also find something that allows you to unplug, right? Whether that's meditation, whether it's prayer, whether it's just letting go of stuff. Because sometimes we hold on to a whole lot of stuff for way too long, okay? So, diversifying. Same thing with fitness, we talked about those areas, but in finances, being able to diversify investments. You don't want to put all your money in one basket. Being able to have CDs or money market accounts and all of these different investment vehicles, either you do it or you have a financial advisor or somebody to help you manage it in such a way that if something were to happen to the market, you wouldn't lose everything. You still have the access or the ability to make progress along your financial goals. The last one is making an adjustments, okay? When you make an adjustment, go back to that definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting a different result, okay? The path to better health, financially or fitness-wise, is not going to always be a straight line. Doing A is not going to necessarily get you to B. Or going from point A to B is not going to necessarily be, you do X, Y, Z, and it's going to get you there. It's very nonlinear, and it's not usually smooth. Sometimes you're going to have some setbacks because life happens. You can't account for that. There are things that you just won't be able to account for. When you have those setbacks, though, take the opportunity to use that as a way to set yourself up for a comeback, right? So we talked about that light at the end of the tunnel and not being able to see it when you start setting goals. Well, if you say, I'm quitting, I'm not doing it anymore, and you decide to restart, do something different, okay? Use that setback and do something different. Set a SMART goal so that you can actually open things up and take that next milestone, and each time you take that step forward, you're able to make more and more progress towards the goal that you ultimately want to achieve. The next thing is, I think a lot of times people judge themselves way too hard. People are way too hard on themselves. So you have to be able to give yourself a little grace. Nobody's perfect. And so if you are in the place where when you don't meet a goal, whether it's fitness or financial, and you get super hard on yourself and you feel depressed and you feel dejected, give yourself a break. Cut yourself some slack. But also recognize that you can be adaptable and you can make those adjustments and pivot on whatever the situation is so that you can move in a direction of more power and more purpose. And then the last one is focus on what you can control. A lot of times we try to control things that are outside of our wheelhouse that we can't control. We can't control how somebody else responds. We can't control what somebody else does, but we can control what we put in our mouths. We can't control how often we move. We can't control how often we do something that gives us joy. We can't control, for the most part, when we go to bed. So those are things that you can absolutely control, and that will impact your financial or your physical health. But also, same thing, you cannot buy a whole lot of stuff. You don't have to run up your credit cards, right? You can save extra money. Those are all things that are doable, and you can make those adjustments today in order to help you see better physical health. Is it on?
Is this your HD?
Yes.
So it'll automatically.
Okay. It's actually at a good time. I'm going to pass this out. Let's take that right there. There you go. That's for you. Here you go. Pass that down. Here you go. So it's just in time. All right, what I just passed out was a personal health inventory sheet. When this comes up, it'll show the personal health model, but this personal inventory or personal health inventory sheet, I want you to take a few minutes and fill out each section. So you're gonna circle the number that applies to you in each section, and then you're gonna give the total at the bottom. And then on the back, I want you to give the final total. So you have the 6 areas: physical health, mental well-being, managing demands and personal agency, spiritual health or inner well-being, supportive relationships, and meaning. So take a few minutes to go through that now while we're pulling this up. All right, is everybody kind of done? You have more time? You need more time? All right. So you have the total of each of the segments or sections, and then you have one big total, one big number at the end after you've gotten your combined score. All right. So David Irvine came up with this assessment, and it talks about personal health and self-care. And it kind of gives you an indication of how well are you doing in those areas of actually taking care of these things. So when we talk about physical health, there's so many elements involved in just health itself. So we talk about physical health, there's mental well-being. I know a lot of times mental and emotional well-being is not really something that most people face. They don't deal with it. And there's a little bit more information out there now, and people are paying attention to it just because of recent events, but it's something that's always been there. And if you're not paying attention to your mental health or your emotional health, that's a big area that you are missing out in. All right, so From this assessment, if you scored 120 or better out of the combination of all 6 of those areas, then you're doing pretty good. You're doing some things right as far as taking care of yourself, taking care of those things that will help you to maintain a good level of health and personal agency for life, right? Keep it up. 120, 120 plus. Yes. If you're between 90 and 119, you probably have 1, maybe 2 areas that you can focus on, that you can give some attention to and get better. If you're between 50 and 90, you're struggling. You're on the struggle bus a little bit. So there's definitely some areas things that you can do now, identifying those areas that you scored the lowest in as your primary areas that you can focus on and pay attention now and start doing things to help improve in those areas, to help bump up your personal health inventory number. And if you're below 50, we need to have a conversation. That means that you're not doing anything to really take care of yourself. And you want to make sure that you reverse that trend, because you can't sustain that for very long. It's not something that you're going to be able to go without. Taking care of your physical health or your mental health, your personal agency, spiritual well-being, having support systems and people in your life that actually help you along the way. Don't worry about it. You're probably not going to be able to use it. Okay. I'll just go with it. Thank you. So the picture that we weren't able to show has the personal health model. There are 6 items in there. So the first item is physical, corresponds to this tool, okay? Physical health. The second is mental and emotional health. The third is lifestyle. So when we talk about personal agency, also incorporating your lifestyle, identity, things that we talked about earlier about the habits that you have and that you want to maintain. The fourth is spiritual health or spiritual well-being. Supportive or personal support systems. And then the last one is meaning or purpose. So Clifton mentioned earlier that I graduated from a certain school and I worked as an engineer for many years, and then I transitioned to doing fitness full time. One of the things that made it possible for me to do that was because I knew what God called me to do. I thought, because this is what I wanted to do, I wanted to be an engineer, and I wanted to be a successful engineer, so I tried to go to the best schools. I tried to get as much education as I possibly could, but at the end of the day, it wasn't the thing that brought me joy or made me feel like I was purposed. But when I realized that this is what I was purposed to do, making that transition was a no-brainer. And so I have people still, to this day, asking me, man, do you miss being an engineer? Not at all. Because you can't account for, at least I couldn't account for, the experience of having a person come into my gym in a wheelchair, and now they can walk into my gym and say, you've helped my life, you changed my life. That's a great feeling. So purpose is super important. So to personalize and create your own personal health or personalize your health plan, there's a couple of things that I want you to think about and consider. The first one is play the long game, right? It's not about what you do in the next 8 weeks. It's about things that you can do to provide you with a level of longevity and sustainability as it relates to not only your physical health, but also your financial health. The second thing is start with one or two of those items that are on your personal inventory, personal health inventory sheet. Those areas where you scored lower, look there for opportunities for improvement. Use those questions as a guide on the areas that you can actually improve in. Look at what you can do and the things that you can control. Those would be the greatest areas of need that I would say focus on first, and then proceed from there. Third thing is get somebody that can hold you accountable. I mean, really hold you accountable. It could be a family member, a friend, a coworker, a coach, advisor, whether it's in person or virtually. Somebody that can show you and hold you accountable to the things that you need to be doing in order to improve your personal health situation. And then the last thing is you have to make you a priority. Because if you're not willing to make it a priority, then it's probably not going to get done. And I find this to be the case with most of the women that I work with who have kids or who have a family. They will do so much for everybody else and neglect themselves. But sometimes they use that as a crutch to not take care of themselves or not look at their own personal health or their own situation to get better. And they put it on the kids. Well, I had a baby 2 years ago. Or I had a baby and I need to lose baby weight. Okay, how old is your child? 5? I'm like, wait a minute. You ain't carrying baby weight no more. Sometimes guys do the same thing, right? I'm the provider, I'm the man of the house, I gotta take care of my family. That is true. But if you're doing that and neglecting your own personal health, then at some point, that's not gonna work, right? Because I want to be around for my kids. I want to be able to play with my kids. Well, if you're spending time away from your family, I'm not saying that that's not right or wrong. It's just what you're doing. But if you're not paying attention to your health or you're not taking care of yourself in such a way that would allow you to be around and be able to sustain that for your family, then that might be a question that you need to ask yourself. Am I really doing it for the right reason? What's my true priority? Okay. So just a quick review. You want to make sure that you're building healthy habits, and you want to start as early as you possibly can. You got a question? Oh, sorry. I thought you had your hand up. Sorry. Building healthy habits, and you want to start as early as you can. Both fitness and finances. The earlier you start, the better, and the more time you have to build wealth in those areas. The second one, you want to set goals that reflect where you are now and where you want to be. Not where you think you are, where you are. That keeps it real for you. The third thing is seek and act on advice from somebody that you trust. It's one thing to get information and collect a lot of data. A lot of times people just get in that realm of just collecting information. I got a website here, I got a book there, and I got this. And you go to their library and you see all this stuff on the shelf that they haven't even cracked the book. It's one thing to acquire information, but it's another thing to actually act on it. That's where you get the benefit. That's where the needle starts to turn as it relates to your fitness in your life. The fourth thing is mix it up. It avoids you from having a situation where you get bored, right? So we talk about diversification, adding variety. That keeps you from being bored. It also keeps you motivated because it gives you new challenges every time you try something different. Now, I'm not saying you try something one day and then try something. Like, you have to spend some time and be consistent with what you're doing so that you can have longevity in that activity to see the result. And then the last one is monitoring progress and making the necessary adjustments as you need to make the adjustments. When you feel like things are plateauing or leveling off, change it up. Make an adjustment. If you were going to the gym 3 days a week for 20 minutes, maybe go 3 days a week for 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. Just make small tweaks to kind of help you continue to make progress towards your goals. How do I get them these resources?
I have everybody's email address.
Okay.
And your cell phone, hopefully. So I would commit to getting them that page.
Okay.
That you have today.
All right.
But I have to be able to read your email too, so. Or your phone number, so I can call you and say I can't do that right.
So I have some resources. I'll just tell you what they are. The first one is a resource called Metabolic Precision. It's a lifestyle methodology that actually addresses nutrition as well as fitness. And it gives you a lot of different information about how do you maintain the skill of being fit, or how do you develop and build the skill and then maintain the skill of being fit. I've seen people use this in a lot of different ways, and it's made a tremendous benefit for them. Because if you look at it from the standpoint of you have the rest of your life, right? It's not a thing that you're trying to do in 6 weeks or 8 weeks. Sometimes it might take you 2 years. You just have to decide, what is it that you really want? And what is it that you're willing to do in order to see the results that you want to see? So Metabolic Precision, metabolicprecision.com. If you looked at that or wanted to write that down before you got this, that would be the first one. The next one is called the Mobility WOD, WOD. Also, it has a podcast called The Ready State. So the ready state is sort of a state of being ready all the time. So if you're walking, or if you're sitting in your house, or you're sitting in your office, and a bear comes into the back of the room, like most people would be like, oh, what do I do? And you're like, wait. No, you got to be ready. Ready to move, ready to do something. So you always have to make sure that you're in a position to do something, right? If you're sitting all the time and you're not moving all the time, movement is going to be difficult and it's going to be a challenge for you. Sometimes people don't move because it hurts. Every time I get ready to go exercise, my shoulder hurts, or my back hurts, or my knees hurt, or my ankles hurt, right? That's real stuff. But this website actually gives you some additional tools and resources that you can do to help improve your movement capacity in those areas so that you don't have that as a reason for not moving. Again, go back to motion is lotion. The more you're able to move correctly will allow you to move properly and get the results that you're looking for. A financial resource that I've experienced personally, that I've seen that's helped a lot of different people, is resources by a guy named Dave Ramsey. He has a program out there called Financial Peace. It's not necessarily for everybody, but there's a website, daveramsey.com, that has a lot of free information there that is super helpful for helping people get out of debt, manage your financial situation, build wealth, all of those different things. Found it to be super, super helpful. And then the last one that I always recommend to people when they, there's things that are free, resources, YouTube University. You can go to YouTube, you can YouTube anything. Yes, YouTube. Yes, just YouTube. No, that's what I'm calling it though. But you have to be careful. You got to do your research because everybody's putting stuff out on YouTube, right? So it's not enough just to go watch a video and say, ooh, I'm gonna try that. Look at it, and if it looks appropriate for you and your situation, do some research about the person who put it out there. Look at what their values are. Look at who they've helped. Have they helped people that were in a similar situation as you? Have they helped them be successful in doing the things that you want to do, right? So you have to look at all of those things and take it into context as opposed to just looking at cool videos, okay? And there's a whole lot of other resources out there. Just ask and we can definitely help you with that. I can also get you, Clifton, this slide about my contact information. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys my email address. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. My email address is robert@3, as in quick, fitness.com. Yes, sir. robert@3qfitness.com. And then on Facebook, it's Robert Selders Jr. You guys can send me a friend request or not. It's totally up to you. And on Instagram is Robert Selders Jr. or @Robert Selders Jr. Any questions that you guys have that I can answer for you before we do this one activity? Yes, ma'am.
What do you offer at your gym? What kind of programs do you offer?
So we have several different programs that we offer. We have private training for people that want individual attention or small group training. We actually have a licensed CrossFit affiliate as part of our gym. We also do this Metabolic Precision program to help people that want to really take on the lifestyle pieces of it. And then we also have like a cardio class that we do for people who are just getting started and want to kind of have a way to get active and be moving and not necessarily use a whole lot of weight.
And do you actually do the training yourself, or you have others that?
I do training. I also have coaches that help me as well. I have a team of coaches that work with me.
What kind of equipment do you have at your gym?
Good question. So it's not a traditional gym. So we use a lot of open space, and my belief is that your body is a machine, and that's what needs to be working. So a lot of times people get out of work, they're sitting all day, and then they go to the gym and sit down and work out. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. It's just, for me, I want you moving, because that's what's real in life, right? You have to move your body. So we have a lot of free weight equipment. We have kettlebells, medicine balls, bikes, rowers, ropes, just things that are more functional to how you live your life, right? Good question. Yeah.
Talk about the first time experience when people come to your gym and what you're offering to people for free assessment.
Yes. So we also offer a free assessment for anybody that is interested in whether you work with us or not. I always assess any new or prospective member or client, give them information about where they are. We have a conversation about where they want to go and then what those next steps will look like. So if any of you guys are interested in going through that assessment, reach out to me and we'll set something up. Yes, ma'am.
What, I know you said you went from engineering to coaching now. How did you make that transition?
Like logistically?
Both, financially, and everything.
Financially, okay. That's a good question. A good question, very good question. So to know how I did it would be to know the motivation behind it. So I watched my grandparents die at a very early age, and they died from things that were preventable. And there was nothing that I could do about that. So that stuck with me, and it bothered me. Here I was, a college athlete, supposedly knowing how to work out, knowing how to eat, but I couldn't help my family. And so when I started working with people, before I started working with people, I had my own personal transformation. Having been a collegiate athlete, getting out of school, working as an engineer, I gained a lot of weight because I sat behind a desk and I was just working on a computer all the time. And you know how you're kind of going through life and you're not really paying attention and you kind of get a glimpse of yourself in the mirror? I had one of those moments. I was like, oh, hell no. I'm sorry, I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but that's what it said. And I was like, no. I mean, and my wife and I were getting ready to have our first daughter. I'm still working as an engineer. And so I'm like, I got to do something. So I started on my own personal journey, right? So I made it, the transformation, started learning about it. And then when I found that it was something that I can help other people, it just became a no-brainer for me. And then I started helping people. Even working as an engineer, I was helping some of my my coworkers. And one thing led to another. And then I remember my wife saying, you need to find your own spot. And I was like, okay. Because prior to that, she wasn't as supportive because she married an engineer, right? And so there was a whole lot of other stuff that kind of went in that, you know, that I won't put out there. But the thing that I knew was this was something that God had called me to do. And he didn't call her to do it. He called me to do it. And so just through the act of me doing the work, I think she saw that this is what I was supposed to be doing. And so the only way that I know that, well, not the only way, but one of the ways, is that he had to change her heart. So for her to say that to me, it was more confirmation that this is what I needed to be doing. And so I just built up over time. I didn't start from knowing that I was supposed to be doing that to actually being full-time in the business. It took me about 6 years to work and build client base, reputation, getting people results. And then I was able to say, you know what? I'm out.
Do you take on challenging clients?
You know what's really interesting? That's usually who comes to see me. So this guy who comes, medication-induced Parkinson's, I had never heard of that before. I didn't even know it existed. But yet, he came and we helped him. So yes. Any other questions? I always tell people, and I think I might have mentioned this in the podcast, that you want to respect and love the person that you're going to become by taking excellent care of the person you are today. So the biggest gift that you can give your future self is taking care of who you are right now. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your attention. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for watching our Empower Series YouTube video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit the subscribe button below, as well as the little button to be notified the next time we upload our video. Until then, stay connected with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever your social media flavor is. Inspire the world to thrive. See you soon.